Welcome, Mike.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you for that. Actually, my associations there at RSPB go back a bit earlier than when I started as a member of staff. So when my mum joined me as a junior member of the RSPB, the period since then, we have been losing in Britain, in terms of breeding birds, the total number of breeding birds has been declining at 1 every 8 minutes in the whole time that I've been a member of the RSPB. And this is a pattern that is reproduced across the whole of Europe. And it's true for all of the taxa for which we have data. We are degrading the trophic structure and dismantling food webs. If you look globally, and this is a busy diagram, and I'm not worried if you can't read it all, you can find it on BirdLife International's website, The State of the World's Birds. In the middle, 1,313 bird species, 1 in 8 of all the bird species of the world threatened with extinction. And around that state are the pressures, and you will see in the your top left, agriculture contributes to nearly 3/4 of all of those declines. This is quite an international audience, but can I just ask, how many of you know the traditional English carol, The 12 Days of Christmas? Or have you heard of it? Yeah? Well, in which case you will know your true love sent to you 2 turtle doves. The trajectory of decline of turtle doves in this country at the moment means that currently the rate is they will be extinct in 7 years' time. On the 2nd day of Christmas 2019, the turtle dove risks becoming a folk memory. Our research shows that on the breeding grounds in the UK here, it's intimately connected in terms of its breeding success with the decline of wildflowers. And it's a migratory species, so right now, just leading up to Christmas, a lot of these turtle doves will be down in West Africa, south of the Sahel, where it's clear they're dependent and closely linked with extensive agricultural systems. As we heard a moment ago, the decline in biodiversity in ecosystems, exemplified by birds, is a really powerful indicator of all the negative externalities that we've been talking about over the last 2.5 days associated with agricultural systems. And I think this conference has made a powerful case for saying that the global food system is broken and we need to start building a new narrative. We need food that is healthy for people and for the planet. We need to adapt our food system so that it contributes to the true wealth of nations. That is where the balance sheet for natural capital is positive. That's one. We need to adapt the food system so that it builds true profit for shareholders and avoids risks and stranded assets. And thirdly, a food system that's adapted to provide true choices for people who are empowered through information to create the future, to help create the future they want through the food they buy. Now, the idea of natural capital is not that new. In 1789, famous naturalist Gilbert White in this country, writing about the natural history of Selborne, talked about the economy of nature. But what is new is the combination of economics and science, non-market valuation techniques, and what we're now able to do around ecosystem services and structure and model our knowledge about those. And combined, they make a powerful tool in our toolkit. And there's some positive, very practical examples of these concepts. We heard about this in a workshop earlier in this conference. The regulation of water pricing in England and Wales, now a privatised set of utilities. The regulatory pricing mechanism provides the ability for water customers, through their bills, to pay farmers to restructure their businesses and their farms and invest in natural capital that replaces more expensive engineered end-of-pipe solutions. And at least one major water company now believes that re-engineering of ecosystems is going to be the main way they keep their water bills down in the future. And you'll be aware that there's huge public debate on the cost of living here in the UK at the moment. But we need to recognise there are limits to the natural capital concept. There are technical difficulties, and some of these are being worked on in the next phase of the National Ecosystem Assessment in this country. For example, how cultural services are valued. But we also, and I think we've heard this, so particularly yesterday, we need to distinguish between public utility and societal values. Sorry, I've gone past two on. Societal values. What is the value of childhood? And what is the human cost of the rapid disconnection between people and nature? We need to build new markets, but we have to recognise there's limits to the voluntary approach. There's been a recent pilot study down the south coast of England that shows that if farmers are going to be paid to lower their nitrogen load into Poole Harbour, which will enable homes to be built that currently can't be because of the sewage effluent that would add to the load, then it's going to require active government. And as Ken very rightly pointed out this morning, government intervention is needed to change the size and shape of subsidies. The so-called reforms of the Common Agricultural Policy and its translation into the UK mean that the distortion between the public interest and public policy is growing. And this is shown in this slide where the solid blocks going up is the growing investment needed for biodiversity commitments, international EU commitments, and the Water Framework Directive. And these are the various options in terms of the small part, 10% of the Common Agricultural Policy, that actually addresses and helps farmers deliver the public goods that are associated for them. The challenge that we've all been discussing is about to get much greater. And we've heard various timelines. The one that really worries me the most is the nearest. By 2030, the pressure that humanity will be putting on the state of nature will be going up by some 40 to 50%. And it's taken us 5,000 years of agriculture to get to this point, and the next 17 years it's going to go up by 40 to 50%. It's quite clear this is too big for any one sector. I think what this conference has established is that we need a clear shared picture of our journey, where we are now and where we're going to get to. And then we need a map of how we're going to get there. Thank you.